Smart goals are so 1999. Forget them, okay? Smart goals do not work anymore with, well, the younger generation, you can say. Instead, what you need is bold, inspiring, guiding goals, yeah? Which are statements that describe more your identity and translated that into outcomes that you would see rather than really smart goals. Okay? Large smart goals, because you have to have at least a horizon of 2 years to be able to be strategic enough with how you're steering your ship. Yeah. If you are a small startup, you're really just like 2, 3 people, you're still finding your product market fit. 2 year goals are not gonna help you. You need to have a vision, yes, but you're probably much more working at a quarterly level. But if you're one of the founders that I coach, you're making probably already mid to high 7 figures in revenue, and your team is probably already around 15 people, and you have a good product market fit, right? So then you already have challenges with this organizational complexity, which usually starts around 15 people or so. So coming back to goals, right? Smart goals for most people are way too abstract because they are way too limiting, you know? It's like, how can you forecast all factors that will happen, that you need to take decisions on, that you need to adapt to for a period of 2 years at the moment you write the goal? You can't. And that's why it stifles the organization. It slows down the organization when you are communicating in smart goals, because it's for most people way too abstract. Now, I'm not saying that we are not using the smart aspect, but we have to use the smart aspect. In other words, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timed goals. We use that, but on a much shorter time frame. Okay? Do not use smart goals for longer term goals. We'll come to that also in other videos. But today it's about big goal statements. And big, not in terms of huge. Big is an acronym I came up with in years of coaching, and it's called bold, inspiring, and guiding. Okay? It's like a map. It's like a map that you see all the seas and the land, and you know where to navigate to because you have a point on the map you want to sail towards. Will you get there on what time? You don't know. You want to more or less give an estimation? Yeah, that's possible. But it will always evolve, because if you face one big storm on the sea, you would already have to adjust your plans. So with SMART goals, you'll find your organization constantly losing trust in the SMART goal and you having to readjust the goal, which doesn't make any sense. That's why bold, inspiring, and guiding goals statements are more describing which identity you describe of the company you are in the future, or actually, even better, the company you are right now, but reality is just still catching up to get you there, okay? Because an identity shift is always in the moment. It's never, my identity will shift when I get there in 2 years. No. This is who we are today, and this is how reality will reflect it back. Hear me out. I will get more concrete on this, and it will all get clear, okay? So, we have a very ancient, almost, goal or performance scoring technique. It's called the balanced scorecard, okay? Used by Fortune 500 companies for decades. It's probably some from the 50s or the 60s, this tool. But it's also a little bit outdated, you know. It's like corporate tool that goes probably less relevant for smaller organizations. So, in the past year, I've worked with the balanced scorecard approach, but really gave a modern twist to it. And I translated the 4 aspects of the balanced scorecard, which is called base level learning and growth. Then the second level is internal processes and organization. The third level is customer. And the fourth level is financial. Okay? But again, it's really abstract. It's much better to ask ourselves these 4 questions. Who are we? Which is who we are in terms of learning and growth, but just who are we as an organization? And what outcomes reflects who we are? Outcomes in terms of what do we produce as a culture? What do we produce as a group of people together? Then the second is how we win. Let's focus on your systems. What is your unique system and what outcomes does it produce that will put you way ahead of the market, right? The third one is, what do we offer? What is it to us uniquely that we offer to our clients? And we're going way beyond here, saying like product A, product B. No, what is the experience? What would the client pay even double money for, right? If we would triple our price, what would they still want to pay for? What do we offer? Where are we known for? Like Apple is not known for phones, right? What they offer is much more than just phones. Right? You can fill that in for yourself what it is for you, but we know that it's not just a phone company. And then we have the fourth level, which is why it pays off. Okay? In other words, what is the impact we are making financially, people-wise, worldwide, numbers. Okay? So again, I will summarize this. Who are we? How do we win? What do we offer? And why does it pay off? And these 4 big goal statements, written in a manifestation way, if you will, they are all interconnected. And that's also where a balanced scorecard approach comes in, because on the base, we have learning and growth, who we are. It describes our culture, our organization. That will translate itself into the second layer. You know, that culture will build that will build the machines in the factory hall. Okay, so that's how we win, is the machines, the processes, where it produces. What we offer, the third layer, is what is it that leaves the factory? What is the product? What is the experience? What is the value that comes out of our factory, right? And then the fourth one is why it pays off. What do we gain with that product that rolled out of our factory? Like what we get in return in monetary value? What is the recognition we get with this? What is the amount of people we impact with this? What is it that we solve with this, right? That is why it pays off to do this. So you get 4 very distinct but very clear categories that will drive objectives and key results for the next 8 quarters. Okay? And objectives and key results is again another topic that I've over the years developed a very lean version for, much leaner than most companies do it, because I work only on the company level, and my reasons for that, but we'll come to that in another video. This is also where we get the SMART aspect into our goals on the OKR level, because that's much less abstract for people. But that's another topic. Coming back to these big goal statements. Frames, right? In my previous video, in one of my previous videos, I spoke about framing and how important this is. So you have your mission statement, you have your vision statement, you have your value statements. You need also goal statements. Statements about who we are. What is our identity, right? How we win, what we offer, and why it pays off. This massively aligns the organization. Massively. This is giving people the chance to work autonomously on their tasks because they understand what it is that we're trying to achieve here. You know, this task today will help us how we win. This task tomorrow will help us what we offer. And you give meaning to people's work, and meaning to people's work is, again, one of those three intrinsic motivations, which is purpose. Meaning is purpose, fulfillment, right? Wow, I know that I'm working on something bigger than just my to-do list. Yeah? This task is just a piece in the total picture. So you as a leader, you have to own your frames. And defining your frames really clearly with big goal statements, those 4, is going to tremendously boost your ability to, with less and less effort, drive your team in the right direction in one aligned way. Okay? So I want you to really try this out. In my REMODE framework leadership system that I've built over the years, it's called the REMODE framework, but it's a set of tools together that I've built, which helped double dozen of companies really unlock that next level of self-managing organization. If you want to learn something more about that, the best way is to just send me a DM on Instagram. Link is here below. Send me a DM there. I'll get you all the details if it's something that you might want to learn more about. Okay? I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.